What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Noah Gray here, tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Josh's channel and check out showmefootball.com for more.
What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com, covering your Kansas City Chiefs. And I wanted to add on to my video that I made yesterday talking about 4 free agent wide receivers that the Kansas City Chiefs could sign. And there was a guy that I excluded from that video, but felt like he still deserved a mention, and I felt bad about it afterwards. So I decided to make a separate video on him today. Not only because do I think he would be a very good realistic option for the Kansas City Chiefs, but also because I think there's a very good chance of it happening. And that is, of course, Chicago Bears wide receiver Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney is slated to be a unrestricted free agent this offseason, and he should have plenty of suitors, but I thought he was worth a mention. I didn't mention him yesterday, and I would hate for the Chiefs to make this signing, and there's no proof of me saying that it would be an ideal fit. So here I am making this video today, but I was also reading this article from lastwordonsports.com, and they said that Darnell Mooney will likely leave in free agency, and he should have suitors. And then the best possible fit, they listed the Kansas City Chiefs, and they said that the Kansas City Chiefs make a lot of sense for a whole lot of reasons. First off, they're going to need some wide receivers, especially since Marquez Valdes-Scantling is probably going to be cut. Additionally, current offensive coordinator Matt Nagy clearly knows how to use Mooney, as he turned him into a 1,000-yard receiver with the Chicago Bears. If the Chiefs can't afford to sign someone like Mike Evans in free agency, then Darnell Mooney makes perfect sense as a plug-and-play starter in this offense. And that was from David Latham of lastwordonsports.com. Once again, very good piece that I will link in the description if you guys want to go check it out, because he says a couple other things and mentions a couple other teams for Darnell Mooney. But let's dive a little bit more into Mooney's fit with the Kansas City Chiefs. So again, I'll say it one more time. I felt bad about not including him yesterday, and that's because my main goal or main objective that I had for the Kansas City Chiefs that I said in that video yesterday was they just need a solid veteran that simply raises the floor, and also probably the ceiling, but mainly raises the floor of the wide receiver room in 2024 for the Kansas City Chiefs, because last year the wide receiver position was just a disaster, and that's just being honest about it. They led the league in drops. There were many times this year where they simply did not have a go-to guy. They experimented with Richie James and Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore, and they all busted. It didn't work out. And so you got to go out and get veterans that make you feel a lot safer with this wide receiver room heading into 2024, because the wide receiver core that this front office gave Patrick Mahomes last year was just not enough, and it was quite honestly inexcusable. But luckily the Chiefs were able to win the Super Bowl in spite of the wide receivers. But I digress. Darnell Mooney would be a fantastic option. He would be a really good value pickup, because that article that I read, they mentioned if the Chiefs can't get a guy like Mike Evans, I don't think the Chiefs are going to spend big bucks on a guy like Mike Evans. That's just my feeling. I mentioned Calvin Ridley as a high-end guy that the Chiefs would go after if they did go after a more expensive, higher-end wide receiver in free agency. But ultimately, I do think they're going to go with like a Tyler Boyd, Marquise Brown, Darnell Mooney type of mold. They're going to go for a guy that has a track record of proven production, that may not be a world beater, that may not cost them a lot, but is a significant upgrade over anything they had last year outside of Rashee Rice. So in comes Darnell Mooney, and that article that I read mentioned the connection with Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy was the head coach in Chicago when Darnell Mooney last had 1,000 yards. Matt Nagy is obviously the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, so there's that connection there. And a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, that's also when they had Allen Robinson. But even after Allen Robinson left, Darnell Mooney's stats got better in Chicago. Obviously, he's had a down year the last couple of years, but I think that can be more so attributed to Chicago's quarterback play. The quarterback play there just hasn't been very good. They've been back and forth on Justin Fields. It sounds like he may even be traded this offseason. So I think that needs to be considered when you're evaluating Darnell Mooney as a potential wide receiver fit on the Kansas City Chiefs. He's played with some bad quarterbacks. He's played in some bad offenses. And the last coherent offense that he played in, he had 1,000 yards. What I also really like about Darnell Mooney is he's only 26 years old. You can't tell me this dude just fell off a cliff athletically or physically in the last couple of years. He's still extremely young. I think you just have to consider the situation that he was in Chicago. He is only coming off his rookie contract. And I think if you were able to bring him into Kansas City to reconnect with Matt Nagy and play under Andy Reid and play with a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, you could see his numbers jump way up again next year. He could potentially be a 1,000-yard guy again. Last year, he had just 31 catches for 414 yards and 1 touchdown. That was a career low for him in all those categories. And again, I think you have to look at the quarterback situation. You have to look at the dysfunction within the Chicago Bears organization. They also brought in wide receiver DJ Moore last year, who took up a lot of the targets. I think Darnell Mooney could really use a fresh start in a place like Kansas City. And something that I mentioned with a couple of the wide receivers in yesterday's video, and what I was also kind of looking for was someone that could play some more outside wide receiver, because Rashee Rice thrives in the slot. That's where he needs to stay, in my opinion. And if you're giving him a guy on the outside that is a serviceable wide receiver, then you could have a really good wide receiver duo. You can maximize Rashee Rice's production. You could maximize a guy like Darnell Mooney's production, because Darnell Mooney can play outside wide receiver, but he also has inside-outside versatility. He's versatile, so you can do a lot of different things with him. You can also give Rashee Rice a breather and still have Darnell Mooney out on the field. Wouldn't be a problem. He can play that slot role as well. This is as far as fit goes, like, Darnell Mooney might be the best possible fit for Kansas City, and it's honestly a shame that I didn't include him in yesterday's video, because I also think he's just really good at what the Kansas City Chiefs wide receivers were bad at last year. Darnell Mooney does have the ability to stretch the field. He ran a 4.38 40-yard dash at the NFL Combine back when he was coming out of college. He can definitely get behind defenses, kind of like Marquez Valdes-Scantling, but the difference between Darnell Mooney and Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and what separates Mooney from MVS, is that he is fantastic at the catch point. Fantastic at the catch point. So yeah, I think Mooney would be a plug-and-play starter in the Kansas City Chiefs offense. And then, of course, he's not going to cost too much. His projected market value right now on SpotTrack.com is $10.4 million a year. They project him getting a 4-year, $41 million contract. I would not hate that contract at all if Kansas City gave it to him. I think Darnell Mooney is well worth $10 million per year. That's less than what you're paying for MVS right now. If you essentially cut MVS and give his money to Darnell Mooney, I wouldn't complain at all, because you're getting a much better player, younger, more upside. Think he could have a huge bounce back year. And the Kansas City Chiefs offense, playing with Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce, he takes a little bit of heat off those other guys, so that you can have a better offense in 2024 than you had in 2023. So I am all for Darnell Mooney. But yeah, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the video there. I want to hear from you, though. What do you think of my suggestion of Darnell Mooney in free agency? Do you agree, disagree? Let me know down below. With all that being said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. And make sure you check out my work on ShowMeFootball.com and ArrowheadAddict.com for more. See you in the next one. Go Chiefs!